Will you need to pay back your unemployment benefits at the state and federal level that you received in 2021 as a result of loss of employment? That's what I'm going to be talking about in this video, as I've had quite a few people recently reaching out to me asking if I can make this dedicated video talking about this topic. So here you go. Here's your dedicated video. Let's get right into it. But as always, I want to preface this video and say this is not accounting or tax advice at all. I would highly recommend that you talk to your tax professional or your accountant who can look at your specific situation and tell you the answer. But as all of us know, anybody in accounting or tax preparation will often tell you it depends. That's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. So let's get right into it and talk about these unemployment benefits. Also, later in the video, I'm going to be talking about that stimulus check, also that $1,200 stimulus check, and if you'll need to pay that back. So let's get right into this and talk about it. So as we know, earlier this year, we had tens of millions of people. Well, actually, all throughout the year, we had tens of millions of people. But the main influx of all of these people applying for unemployment benefits was in March, April of this year, right? Tens of millions of people flooding the unemployment system looking for benefits as the entire economy basically just shut down during those months. It was a scary time. So, also, as we know, late in March, there was the passing of the CARES Act, otherwise known as the stimulus package. That's what everybody refers to it as, the stimulus package. The technical name is the CARES Act. But anyway, within that CARES Act, the stimulus package, there was also a law in there that said federal unemployment benefits to go to unemployment people at the federal level at a rate of $600 per week starting in late March and extending through July. So everybody was getting the state unemployment benefits. On top of that, the additional federal kicker of $600. So now that all these people have received thousands upon thousands of dollars over the course of maybe weeks, months, or maybe you're still collecting, that's totally fine too if you need it. I mean, definitely, by all means, that's what it's there for. But the question comes in, will I need to pay some of this money back in 2021 when I go to file my 2020 taxes? And that's why I'm making this video. Also, as we know, in early August, President Trump signed an executive order issuing an additional $300 at the federal level, like the federal kicker, at a rate of $300 to go for, however long it extended. Well, in many states, it only extended for about 5 or 6 weeks. They were actually implemented in late August and extended into mid-September in most situations. Once again, here we are in late October, and those benefits have actually dried up and they are all gone. But once again, there was that little bit of time frame between July, when that $600 expired, to when that $300 federal kicker kicked back up in late August. So we want to talk about if these are going to be paid back. I want to say the general answer is no. Most likely, in many situations, for the majority of people, the answer is no. You will not need to pay either the state benefits back or that federal kicker. Now, if Congress gets their act together and approves an additional federal kicker, once that comes into effect and goes into play, and people start receiving that once again, it'll be the same situation for that. However, like I said earlier, it depends. Some people, in some situations, could potentially need to pay back some of their unemployment benefits or maybe even all of their unemployment benefits. Let's break it down. Who would need to do this? Well, as we know, back once again in the CARES Act, like I said, that stimulus package that passed in March, like late mid-March-ish time, late March it passed. They also included self-employed people. This is the first time that self-employed people, like contractors, gig employees, they like to refer to these people as gig employees. If you've ever read the language on all this stuff, it's always like self-employed, contractors, gig employees. But anyway, this is the first time these people have been included to receive unemployment benefits. Now, I'm not singling those people out. I'm just mentioning that as part of this video. So now all these people who have a W-2 wage, people who are 1099, who are self-employed, everybody who is eligible is getting these unemployment benefits. Here's the deal. In most situations, like I said, you will not need to pay those benefits back. However, there is a situation where you may need to pay this back. One situation being Let's say you're somebody who lost employment not because of the situation going on with the virus and everything like that, whereas your company shut down, but maybe you were terminated, as in you were fired. Typically, people who are fired are not eligible for unemployment benefits. However, during the heat of the moment, when all of these millions upon millions of people were filing for unemployment benefits, let's say your application or somebody you know, their application who was actually terminated from a position, went into the mix. Do you think these unemployment offices maybe pushed applications through possibly a little bit more quickly that time of year as they were literally being flooded with millions of applications during that time? Yeah, perhaps maybe they processed these applications a little bit more quickly. They didn't do the due diligence and they just kind of pushed them through. Well, what happens if there is a day that they actually go through and reconcile all of these accounts and somebody who was actually terminated actually started receiving benefits? Unfortunately, if these unemployment offices actually catch on to that, the people may need to pay back those benefits. Again, this is probably not the situation for many people at all. It's probably a very, very small number of people. Now, here's another situation where you may need to pay back the benefits, and that is, let's say you're a W-2 person, you're working a wage, you work for somebody, you receive a paycheck each week or every other week, whatever it is. Or let's say you're self-employed. Let's say during the time that you're unemployed, you're actually still working. Let's say you got a different job. Maybe it's doing some kind of ride share or food delivery or whatever it is. Or you're working under the table for cash. One of these situations. If you're still working and you're still collecting unemployment benefits and you're not reporting your earnings, this could be one of those situations where if you get caught, again, if you get caught, unfortunately, you would probably need to pay back your unemployment benefits because right there on the form, it's probably going to ask you some kind of question like, are you working? If so, how many hours? How much are you earning? Things like this. If you're not answering those questions truthfully, they probably, if you get caught, again, they would likely be asking for those unemployment benefits back at the state and federal level. Here's another thing. What they don't tell you is if you do get busted getting unemployment benefits when you're not supposed to be, there's actually an incredibly stiff penalty that goes on top of there. In many situations, it's anywhere between 30 and 60%. That's the penalty. That's huge. That's massive. That's a massive, massive penalty that you do not want to pay. So again, I'm not accusing anybody of doing these acts or doing this at all. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is if there is anybody out there doing this, and again, it's if you get caught doing this and they reconcile, they audit your account, whatever, and they find out that you're still working, you're getting cash under the table. I don't know. I honestly don't know how they would figure that out. But if you're still working with unemployment or if with employment and you're getting unemployment benefits, it could be a bad situation. Now, here's another thing I want to talk about too is considering how many people applied for unemployment benefits this year alone. Like I said, 40-ish million people between W-2 people who collect a paycheck, between the self-employed. How many people? 40+ million people applied for unemployment benefits. What are the chances that they are actually going to audit all of these accounts and look over everything? I feel like, good luck. At the rate that the government moves, at the rate that the IRS moves, there's no way. It would take them a century to go through all of these records, all of these accounts, to examine each and every one and to audit each and every one. I anticipate they're probably just going to write this year off as, well, let's just assume that most people were being honest and just kind of be done with it. Here is one other thing I want to mention too that I think unfortunately many people may not take into consideration. This is with the state and federal unemployment benefits, and that is if you did not elect for taxes to be taken out of your unemployment benefits initially before you receive them, look out next year. The reason I say that is because if they did not withhold any federal or state taxes out of your unemployment benefits, guess what? When you go to file your tax return next year in 2021, they want that money. They're going to be asking for it. So I hope you've reserved something. I think this is going to be a huge situation early next year that I don't think a lot of people know is coming. The reason I say that is because, you know, you're getting these unemployment benefits. I think the majority of people are just looking at it like, great, I need this money. And they don't realize, like, oh yeah, there's supposed to be federal and state, not in all states, but in most states, state taxes are taken out. We have to remember that those taxes, if they were not withheld before the payments were sent out to you, guess what? They're going to be coming asking for that money in 2021. So again, I think this is going to be another massive crisis early next year when all of a sudden everybody starts to realize, oh my gosh, I owe thousands of dollars in taxes that I don't have. That now what? So we'll have to see how the IRS approaches this situation as well. All right, so I hope that clarified. But again, if you're receiving unemployment benefits or you did earlier this year, for the most part, don't worry about it. You're probably fine. So yeah, again, not financial advice, not accounting or tax advice. Talk to your professional who understands your situation. As for those stimulus checks, I know I'm going to have a bunch of people in this video commenting, asking, will we have to pay back the $1,200 stimulus check? I actually produced a dedicated video talking exactly about that just a few days ago. I would highly recommend go back and check out that video. It's about a 13-minute video of me discussing 4 different scenarios for the stimulus check. Scenario number 1, you get to pay back the entire stimulus check. Scenario number 2, you get to keep the entire stimulus check. Scenario number 3, you get to pay back, you have to pay back a portion of the stimulus check. And scenario number 4 is if you're someone who did not originally receive the stimulus check, you could actually get it in 2021. So there you go. Go back and watch that video. It's titled something like pay back the stimulus check in 2021 with a question mark. Check that out. It was just a few days ago. But I hope that answers your question as far as unemployment. I hope this video helps all of you who are asking that. So thank you so much for your support. Again, if you're still hanging with me, please be sure to hit the subscribe button down below. And I am back every single day with at least 1 video, sometimes 2 or even 3. So you get to see more of me. Anyway, enjoy your day, everybody. Thanks so much for your support. I really appreciate it. And I'll